Hello, my YouTube friends. Today I'm going to talk about the tale of two cities, well, or markets in our case. We're going to talk a little bit about Nvidia, which had a great day, and Boeing, which I know I've been touting, but had a bit of a rough day. So I'm going to go into the reasons why. Should be an exciting video. You see how excited I get. So stick around. Good afternoon. My name is Adam Kahn, and this is Investing with Adam K. Forgive the late start. Hopefully, I can get it uploaded before like 8 o'clock, like it took yesterday. Sometimes it's a little bit slow. Gorgeous day here, getting a little bit warm. What a rough day for equities. Now, to be fair, don't forget we look for those rough days for opportunities, and there might be some opportunities out there that I didn't see. I get emotional as well, so don't take it the wrong way. Down days can be not fun depending on what you're watching, but you want to buy stocks low and sell them high. There's a lot of economic data going out that's kind of underlying the Fed's indicating that maybe it's going to take longer before they can cut rates. I worry on the other side that they wait a little bit too long and cause a little bit more damage to then catch it. But at some point they'll reverse, they'll cut rates, and they'll support the markets. It just seems to be the cycle that we go in. Now, Nvidia had an incredible day. I assume you guys saw they announced a 10 for 1 stock split. They beat their earnings, which tends to be expected. And I don't mean it's expected in like it's expected they beat. It tends to be kind of what they do. They set you up for a certain amount of earnings expectation, but they still tend to outperform it. But the guidance was really good as well, which is pretty good, and the stock reacted nicely because of it. Now I'm going to go off on two tangents here, or at least one, unless I can remember both of them. Forgive my little bit of brain loss. But, I watch a bunch of other YouTubers, and I'm not going to call out by name, but one in particular who it drives me nuts when you watch these guys that are super self promoters and they're selling all of their, sign up for my moo moo, join my, guidance and my counseling class and whatever else. It gets frustrating, and you have to pay real attention to what people are talking about. And it's why I always say, and here comes my typical disclosure, you really need to do your own research. You shouldn't be listening to any of that, any of us, including me. You need to make your own decisions when making your financial choices, your stock picks, and everything else, and not listen to guys on YouTube. There's a guy and he's got a lot of followers, but he's constantly self promoting himself. And he's been talking about Nvidia earnings for the past, I hope that's not coming over too loudly, but he's been talking about it for like a week or two. And when he talks about it, if you pay close attention to the words he uses, really he doesn't give any indication of if he's going to buy it or if he's not. But he sets it up in a way that no matter what happens when the earnings comes out, he gets to say things like, "See, I told you, wasn't that what I've been saying all along?" He made a reference that if the prices was down in the 800s, he didn't say he may pick some up because he expects that the market's going to take off. And if it goes higher the way he expects, that blah, blah, blah. He then waits until after the earnings and says how he tells you so. And not only that, today when he was talking about it, he made some comment that he had invested over 25% of his net wealth into Nvidia. Now, I don't buy it for a second. I just don't. I don't believe it. I just think that self-promoting is a way to gain views and get people overexcited and make somebody think that they're overly right about the markets. Nobody's that right. Things go wrong, things go right. We all have good picks, we all have bad picks. But if you stick with your things long term, you tend to do just fine. I like picking individual stocks. I don't love ETFs. I think I can outperform the market, and fortunately, I've done pretty well over the years. But I'll be the first to admit that sometimes I'm right and sometimes I'm wrong. That just happens. I still like my picks. I buy them for the reasons that fit my portfolio. But listening to these guys that are selling it like, just do what I tell you and you're going to make millions of dollars and blah, blah, blah. And if you would just listen to me, you see how rich you'd be after Nvidia. Don't believe that stuff. Like, they're happy to let you place bets with your money and make themselves look right, like they helped you with it. We all know Nvidia's been the hot stock this year. We all probably had an idea that they could beat earnings, but that doesn't guarantee that the stock would have gone up today. It did. It had a great run. And not only that, the guidance was really good. And more importantly, in my mind, when I analyze what's going on with Nvidia, you have Meta, Amazon, Apple, Google, all of these companies, and Tesla as well, who need NVIDIA's products that they've done well too and gave an indication that they're going to continue buying their products. So not only have they given an indication that they're going to continue buying them, then when you get the follow up that NVIDIA did well and gives continued guidance, sure, it makes sense that the stock did well. They also put in a 10-for-1 stock split, which people get really excited about. Now, stock splits never make any difference to me because owning 100 shares of a $100 stock or 10 shares of a $1,000 stock really makes no difference. The dollar investment in the company is the same thing, and earnings versus the number of shares is what's going to be driving the price of the stock. But to be fair, Nvidia had great earnings. I was happy to see that. I wasn't happy to see that the stock market pretty much got crushed for most things other than Nvidia. It was a pretty tough day on a lot of stocks. And stick around, I'm going to continue and I'm going to tell you what happened with Boeing and why it was off so much. And Boeing got crushed today. And I'm sure a lot of you know I've been touting it, going on and on about how I see it as a good opportunity. It's possible it still is. I would be careful on it. Um, the news was pretty lousy. At the same time, it hasn't broken through the range of where it keeps falling down to. So I'm not too worried yet. But if it gets below 165 or $164 a share, that would concern me. And I'd probably be looking to get out of it and look into getting into something else. So the chief financial officer said that they're going to continue to essentially bleed money for the next year, that they're not going to meet the revenues they were hoping. That's not the end of the world. Part of the little clip that I saw, and I'd have to find where I found it, but it was really interesting saying that the contracts they took with the defense are not profitable. Well, I don't mean this the wrong way, but if you're taking government contracts and they're not profitable, you probably did some pretty poor analysis because the government tends to pay pretty well. And it's hard for me to imagine a company like Boeing getting into a government contract for defense stuff and signing something that would actually lose them money. Like, that didn't even make sense to me. It doesn't bother me that it might take another year or 6 months for them to get through the problems that they're having. It does bother me that if they're so stupid that they can't figure out how to be profitable on a defense contract, that that just makes no sense. I mean, they're a big company with a lot of people looking over the contracts they're signing. Why would they sign something that isn't profitable? You know, the government's usually pretty fair with the companies they do business with. If that's accurate and if that continues to drive the stock lower, it's causing problems with their bond ratings. It could, you know, continue to be like a snowball running downhill and cause bigger problems. I still think Boeing has long-term contracts with a lot of companies that they know what they're going to be selling over the year. The other thing I saw is that China stopped accepting Boeing airplanes. Now, if they actually follow through with that and switch to Airbus because they get so uncomfortable with Boeing, that'll be a real issue as well. Again, I'm going to wait a little bit. I'm going to make sure that the stock has follow through to a downside. I don't want to panic into it, but it might not work out the way I was hoping. I still stick with my long term plans of bad news on good companies. But if all of those things end up being a problem, well, maybe it's just bad news on a bad company. And, we all have to accept when we've made mistakes and move on from there. So I'll keep an eye on it. I'll share with you guys if I decide I think it's time to get out. And funny enough, that's why I say do your own research. If I decide it's time to get out, it's possible that's the right time to be buying because that happens too. But for the most part, most of my stocks are buy and hold and leave alone, which you guys know. I love Amazon and Google and Meta and Microsoft and all the big ones that you guys are familiar with. And if they go through some rough periods, I don't plan to get out and move on and look for something else. The other reason not to just follow YouTubers, to get back on that subject for a bit, is I had somebody put in the comments that they actually sold some puts as a cash covered position on NextEra Energy Partners. Now that's all fine and well, and they said they did it based on my video. The problem with that is I was really touting NextEra Energy Partners, I'm guessing 3 or 4 weeks ago, when the stock was trading in the mid $20 range. At $33, $34 a share, I don't love it quite as much. Now, selling some secured puts, I don't think it's a bad strategy. And if it's at the right price, if they get filled, I'm totally comfortable with that. Not that it's my choice or my decision. It's more that sometimes, even when you see videos, that the pricing may not be when the person was talking about it anyway. And I did a video yesterday or the day before talking about how I don't know that I would be buying it at $34 a share where it was trading yesterday and even this morning. I don't know that it would be off my radar, but part of what was attractive to me about it was where it was trading before. So be real careful where you're putting your money in and where the people are making the recommendations. You know, eh, that's the best advice I can give on that end of things. What I did add on to today is I added on a little bit more Bristol Myers. I added on a little bit more Nike, and I added on a little bit more Target. I'll probably sit and wait it out for a while and see if this was it or if there's more follow through to the downside, how things react. I'm hoping this was all the panic there is, or maybe another day or two. It's nice that we're going into the weekend. It'll be a long weekend to give the markets time to settle down, but I guess we'll see. Anyway, before I forget, if you could do me a favor, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, make some comments, let me know what you saw today and what stocks you liked. I kind of liked my little Ferris Bueller thing in the last video when I was like, "What are you still doing here?" Anyway, have a great day. I'm going to try to go get some Wi-Fi and get this uploaded on the YouTube. Talk to you soon.